Well, we are in a relatively dry stretch of weather as of right now. Last week, we felt the impacts of what was once Hurricane Francine. That has since dissipated, but some areas outlined by the National Hurricane Center that are having the chance of development. So right here, we have our first area, only a 20% chance of development over the next 2 days and 30% over the next 7 days. And this is actually the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Gordon that formed out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. If this even is to form, it's not expected to impact any land masses whatsoever. But then right beside it, we have another area with the chance of development, even slimmer chances, 10% over the next 2 days, along with 20% over the next week. And given its westward path and this kind of yellow box that we could see, maybe impacting Bermuda off the Atlantic coast, but still out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, not really posing a threat to many land masses. Our area of interest is over here in the northwest Caribbean Sea, stretching into the southern Gulf of Mexico. So you can see no chances of development over the next 2 days, but a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. This is an uptick from yesterday. We had a 20% chance of development over the next week, and I'm sure you've seen it all over social media that a lot of the longer range models are initializing some kind of hurricane or tropical system to form and continue to track northward. Well, this is just an area that we are continuing to keep a close eye on, as this is very far out, number one, so anything that you see is anything but certain in terms of its possible path. We have tracks going into the western portion of the Gulf of Mexico, portions going up here to central Georgia on the Florida Panhandle, and some models even just going over the southern tip of Florida and over Cuba. So we don't quite know anything. There are a lot of question marks of intensity and path associated with this area, and as you can see on the satellite imagery, there's nothing going on in this area as of right now. So we are continuing to keep it on our radar with our relatively dry stretch of weather and very calm weather that we have here in central Georgia. The earliest that this would pose an impact to our forecast, if that is to initialize and form into something tropical, would be at the end of next week. Now, taking a look at our Atlantic Hurricane Basin names, we have knocked off 7 names on our list so far for the 2024 hurricane season. Alberto all the way down to Gordon, and yes, Gordon did form out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean like I was talking about earlier, kind of went under the radar, so the next name on the list would be Helene. So if this system is to form and kind of get some organization together over the next week, then that would be the next named storm on the list. But obviously, if any of those other areas in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean are to form and organize a little bit earlier, then Isaac and Joyce are right behind that. So making for the 8th, 9th, and possibly 10th named storms of the 2024 hurricane season. Once again, nothing but or anything but certain this far out, but something we are continuing to monitor day by day and see what the models have to say, and if any agreement comes into play with some of those longer range models, as it would be our next weather maker here in central Georgia.